You know that feeling? You're in, like, total travel limbo.
Okay.
You just drag your luggage off a cruise ship. It's 9.0.
Or you're on a layover, just staring at the departure board, and you realize you have 6 hours to kill in Honolulu.
Right. It's that weird, anxious gap where you have enough time to do something, but you're also terrified if you leave the airport, you're going to miss your flight.
It's the dead zone. It is the worst part of travel. You usually end up just sitting on your suitcase, eating a stale pretzel.
Totally. Scrolling through your phone, knowing that, paradise is literally right outside the automatic doors.
Exactly.
And that is the specific problem we are solving today. We are digging into a really interesting stack of documents from Haley Private Tours.
Yeah, this stuff is great.
It's got their internal brand standards,
Yeah.
a huge comprehensive guide for their tour operators, and this whole stack of high-res photos and infographics. And the mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. How do we hack the half-day tour? How do we turn that dead zone into the highlight of the trip?
And what I love about this source material is it's not just a brochure, it's an operational manual.
Yes.
It tells us the hard truths about logistics, traffic, and timing that, most travel blogs just gloss over.
Right. And the first hard truth, it hits you right on page 1 of the internal guidelines.
The definition.
The definition of half day.
Yeah.
I always thought a half day was like 4 hours, morning or afternoon.
In the standard industry, yeah. A 4-hour block is pretty typical, but Hylia's brand standards are very specific here.
They are.
They define a viable half day as 6 hours. And they argue that the difference between 4 and 6 hours isn't just time.
It's the difference between seeing a place and just driving past it.
Exactly.
It changes the calculus completely. 4 hours is a rush. 6 hours is an actual day.
But, and this is the big warning, it's all over these documents. Even with 6 hours, you cannot do everything.
No. In fact, the sources are basically screaming at us, do not try to circle the island.
They call it the impossible loop.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because I'm looking at the map provided in the source stack, this topographic one with all the elevation lines, and my first instinct is, it's an island. It's small.
Right. I can drive around the whole thing in a few hours, right?
Exactly.
That is the classic rookie mistake. Look closely at that map. Look at the west side of Oahu. You see that massive ridge? It is a wall. There is no road that connects the north shore to the west side around that point. It's just a dead end.
Oh.
So on a map, it looks like a circle, but geographically, it's a horseshoe. To get from the north shore back to the west side, you have to drive all the way back down the center of the island.
So if you try to circle the island.
You are not circling. You're driving a massive traffic-clogged V-shape. The guide explicitly says attempting the full loop in a half day results in, and I love this quote,
What's that?
a 6-hour commute where you stare at the ocean from behind safety glass at 35 miles per hour.
Ouch. That is not the vibe. Nobody wants to spend their vacation stuck in traffic.
Especially on a weekend. The traffic data in these infographics is sobering. One accident on that 2-lane road to the North Shore, and your 6-hour window just evaporates.
And you miss your flight.
You miss your flight.
Okay, so the impossible loop is out. The strategy the guide pushes is focus areas. You pick one zone and you go deep. But before we get to the fun stuff, we have to talk about luggage.
Yes.
Because if I'm on a layover, what am I doing with my bags?
This is the transfer tour hack. It is brilliant in its simplicity. The guide outlines a service where the tour vehicle itself acts as your luggage storage.
So they just pick you up.
They pick you up at the cruise terminal or the hotel with your bags. The bags go in the trunk. You go do your 6 hours of sightseeing, and then they drop you and your bags directly at the airport.
That is a total game changer. It just eliminates that whole check out, store bags, come back, get bags, go to airport, dance.
Right, the whole shuffle.
It makes the logistics invisible so you can just focus on the experience.
Exactly. So assuming we have our luggage stowed and our 6-hour clock is ticking, what are we actually doing?
So the sources break this down into 4 or 5 focus areas based on what kind of traveler you are. And the first one is for the history buffs.
Okay.
Focus area 1, history and heritage. We're talking Pearl Harbor in downtown Honolulu.
This is the heavyweight itinerary. The guide describes this one as the option for those seeking depth and meaning. And obviously it anchors on Pearl Harbor. But I have to point out something from the operational notes here. There's a huge misconception about how you visit Pearl Harbor. That you can just walk in. Technically you can walk into the visitor center. But the experience that everyone wants is that boat ride out to the USS Arizona Memorial.
Right.
And the source makes it crystal clear. If you do not have a reservation, you are rolling the dice.
They do mention a standby line, but looking at these wait time charts, yikes.
You could spend 2 of your 6 hours just standing in the sun waiting for a ticket. That's a disaster.
Total disaster.
So the hack is reserve in advance, but let's look at the photo of the memorial itself in the source stack. It's really striking.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's that white, long, sort of concave structure. It almost looks like a bridge that doesn't touch either side, just floating over the water.
Yeah. And inside, there's the shrine room.
Right.
The shrine room is the emotional core of the visit. The photo shows that massive wall of Vermont marble at the back.
Okay.
It's engraved with the names of the sailors and Marines who died on the Arizona. But what the photo really captures and what the guide emphasizes is the atmosphere. It's open air.
Right, you can see the sky.
And you can feel the sea breeze. You can hear the water lapping against the hull of the sunken ship just below you. It connects the history to the physical place in this really visceral way.
Yeah.
It's not a stuffy museum. It's a living gravesite.
That's powerful. But the guide also warns about scopecrete here. There's so much at Pearl Harbor, the submarine, the battleship Missouri, the aviation museum.
The battleship Missouri is huge. The guide advises that for a half day, you have to prioritize.
Right.
You can do the Arizona and the Missouri, or the Arizona and the Debofin submarine. But if you try to do all 4, you're just sprinting through hallowed ground. It defeats the purpose.
Now, here's where the deep dive gets interesting for me. I always assumed Pearl Harbor was its own separate day. But the guide suggests pairing it with downtown Honolulu because they're shockingly close.
They are.
Yeah.
And downtown Honolulu is this incredibly dense, compact layer cake of history.
And the centerpiece,
The palace ground.
I'm looking at the photo of the gates here. It's so distinct.
Yeah.
You've got the royal coat of arms in gold and red and green right on the ironwork. It just looks regal.
It's the only royal palace in the United States, and the architecture is this fascinating 19th century mix of, European grandeur and Hawaiian adaptation.
Yeah.
But here's the hack from the source. You don't necessarily need a ticket to experience it.
Really?
The grounds are open. The guide notes that you can walk the palace grounds, see the coronation pavilion, see the barracks, and appreciate the scale of the monarchy without spending an hour on a guided tour inside if you're pressed for time.
And right across the street is the King Kamehameha statue.
The postcard shot.
Yeah, the gold robes, the spear, the outstretched hand. The image here shows him just draped in lace, which I guess happens on special holidays.
Kamehameha Day, yeah.
Yeah.
They drape these massive, 20-foot leis over the statue's arms. It's quite a sight.
Wow.
And then you have Chinatown right next door, which the guide mentions is the oldest in the nation. So in one focus area, you're covering World War II, the Hawaiian Kingdom, and the immigrant history of the islands.
It's incredibly efficient.
Very.
Okay, let's pivot. Let's say history isn't your thing. You want action. You want movie magic.
Focus area 2.
The Hollywood backdrop.
We are heading to the windward side. Kualoa Ranch.
This place looks unbelievable. Jagged, vertical cliffs that are just carpeted in this velvet green. It looks prehistoric.
Well, it should. That's where they filmed Jurassic Park.
Of course.
And Jumanji. And Lost. It is the archetypal tropical wilderness.
But again, we run into the logistics wall. The guide says you can't just drive up to the gate.
This is a private nature reserve and a working cattle ranch. The source highlights that tours here, especially the movie tours or the UTV Raptor tours, they sell out weeks in advance.
So no spontaneity.
If you show up with a 6-hour window and no reservation, you are going to be turned away at the visitor center, period.
But there is a hack, specifically for a half-day listener.
Yes.
The Best of Kualoa package.
Right. It's almost like they designed it for this exact problem. It bundles 3 90-minute activities and lunch into one booking.
Oh, that's smart.
So you get the movie sites, maybe a jungle expedition, and a taste of the farm. It fits perfectly into that 6-hour slot. It takes all the planning pressure off.
I love that. Set it and forget it. Now let's talk about the vibe that everyone associates with Hawaii.
Surfing.
Focus Area 3, the North Shore. What's the sensory experience here? Because the photos look totally different from Waikiki.
It's night and day. Waikiki is vertical high-rises, concrete, polished. The North Shore is horizontal. It's 2-lane roads, wooden storefronts, and salt spray.
The food scene seems to reflect that too. The guide lists shrimp trucks and shave ice stands, not fine dining.
Exactly. You're eating garlic shrimp on a paper plate with your hands, sitting on a picnic bench. That is the North Shore experience.
And then, of course, the waves.
The pipeline. Waimea Bay.
The legends.
Even if you don't surf, the guide recommends just stopping to watch. In the winter, the waves are 20, 30 feet high. The sound of them crashing, it shakes the ground. It's mesmerizing.
But and there's always a but we have to talk about traffic again. The don't do it rule applies here.
Severely. It's a 2-lane road. The sources warn that on big wave days or sunny weekends, that road becomes a parking lot. If you have a flight to catch, the North Shore is risky in the afternoon.
So what's the pro tip?
Timing. Go in the morning.
Beat the crowds, see the waves, get out before the gridlock.
And the lighting is better in the morning, too, before the trade wind clouds stack up against the mountains.
Okay, focus area 4. The icons and postcards. This is the South Shore Loop.
This is for the person who wants that scenic drive but doesn't want the stress of the North Shore distance.
We're talking Diamond Head, Hanauma Bay, the Blowhole.
The classics.
The guide calls this the South Shore Mini Circle. So instead of the impossible loop around the whole island,
You just loop the eastern tip. It's a much more manageable drive. You get the ocean views, you get the winding coastal roads, but you're never more than, say, 30 or 40 minutes from the airport.
however, looking at the constraints section of the guide,
Right.
we have a reservation problem here too.
A massive one. Diamond Head State Monument requires a reservation for entry and parking.
Right.
Hanauma Bay requires a reservation, and they sell out in minutes.
So the spontaneous, let's just go for a drive idea is dead.
For those specific stocks, yes, you can drive past them. You can pull over at the lookouts, like the Lanai Lookout, which is stunning. But if you want to hike the crater or snorkel the bay, you need to have planned this weeks ago.
Okay, so those are the 4 main buckets: history, Hollywood, surf, and scenery. But there's a 5th option in the source material, and I have to be honest, when I first read this section, I was skeptical. Your Oahu Community Service Tours. I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, I have 6 precious hours in Hawaii. Why on earth would I want to spend them sweating in a taro patch or pulling weeds?
Right. Is this just a guilt trip?
Exactly.
That is a completely fair reaction. And if the data didn't back it up, I'd agree with you. But look at the infographic on page 42, the one with the purple and gray color scheme. It lists the benefits, and they aren't what you expect.
Well, sure, it says meaningful impact. You're helping the environment. I get that.
But look at the testimonials. There's one here from a family from Chicago. Read that third quote.
The kids forgot about their phones for the first time in a week. We actually worked together as a team. Okay, that is compelling.
And there's the insider aspect.
Yeah.
When you sign up for these, whether it's removing invasive species from a forest or restoring a fish pond, you are working alongside locals. You are learning about the aina, the land, from the people who tend it. You get access to places tourists usually don't see.
So it's a backstage pass, essentially.
Exactly. You're not just a spectator. You're a participant. And here's the cynical but practical hack. Look at the cost breakdown.
Wait, does it say you save money?
Yes. The infographic explicitly states that choosing the volunteerism option can save a group $100 to $300.
How did that work?
Because you're partnering with nonprofits, the tour pricing structure is different. You're often getting a private custom experience for a fraction of the cost of a standard private tour because you're contributing labor.
That is the ultimate hack. You save money, you get a private guide, you see hidden parts of the island, and you do something good.
It's a win-win-win, and it solves the what do I do paralysis.
Yeah.
You're doing something specific and structured.
It really flips the script on tourism. Instead of what can I take, photos, souvenirs, it's what can I give?
And ironically, by giving, you get the best souvenir. You get a memory of connection.
So we've covered a lot of ground. We've redefined the half day. We've mapped out the impossible loop. And we've looked at this whole menu of options. If you had to boil this entire stack of documents down to one piece of advice for our listeners sitting in that airport terminal right now, what would it be?
Plan smart, don't cram.
I like that.
It's the recurring theme in every single section of this guide. The mistake people make is trying to replicate a 7-day vacation in 6 hours. You just can't.
You have to choose.
You have to choose one vibe. Do you want the solemn reflection of the Arizona Memorial? Then commit to that. Don't try to squeeze in a shrimp truck on the North Shore afterward.
Right.
Do you want the Jurassic Park adventure? Go to Kualoa and stay there.
Being fully present in one place is better than being stressed out in 5 places.
Exactly. Standing in the shrine room at Pearl Harbor and actually reading the names is a life moment. Driving past Pearl Harbor at 40 miles per hour because you're late for a hike is it's just traffic.
And I want to leave the listener with one final thought that popped out to me from that volunteerism section, you mentioned it earlier, about the selfish nature of giving back.
It's a provocative idea, isn't it? We tend to think of volunteering as this selfless sacrifice,
For sure.
but the source suggests that giving back might be the most selfish thing you can do on a trip.
Because of what you get out of it.
Because while your labor helps the island for a season, maybe you cleared a patch of forest, the change in you is permanent. You go home with a different perspective. You feel like you earned your place there even for a few hours. And that feeling lasts a lot longer than a tan.
That is a beautiful way to put it. So if you're staring at a 6-hour layover, don't sit at the gate. Pick a focus area, stash your bags, maybe grab a shovel, and go see the real Oahu. Thanks for diving deep with us today.